Hey, what's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast on Infinite Earths, part 1 of 3, episode 61, a show where we talk about movies and TV and comic books and breaking news and animated universes we never really knew about and all the other things that scratch your nerdy, stinky little itches. We're coming to you live from Young Junk HQ.
Young Junk.
Nailed it.
Young Junk?
That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Young Junk?
Yeah.
A bomb-ass podcasting production space in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm your still holly-stuffed host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex.
Never going away.
It was through the cold of winter, right?
That's
to
true,
warm
yeah.
you.
He's still hot. Well, I mean, you were like, you seemed so upset last week that there wasn't a modifier.
I was
on
enraged.
How stuffed you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you were
you're
our
still
enraged
holly-stuffed.
host, Johnny Destructo. Yeah, but not described as such.
A super rad comic shop that you should go to and buy all my stuff. With me tonight to talk about different things is Dylan. Hey, Dylan behind the booth.
Hey, everybody, what's up?
That's it.
That was it.
That's
You're
it.
done?
Now tell us what's up.
Yeah,
I regret going to you first. Brian.
Hey.
That's worse. No.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? My name
Ah.
is Noel, and I am here for the next 50 to 70 minutes.
Nice. See, that's how you do it, guys.
Yeah.
Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, click the bell notification, and get up there in that chat. I'm pointing up because that's where we have a giant monitor up here at Young Junk HQ, and it shows us all of the comments.
I feel like that's where the chat, you could point to that as the chat just abstractly, right? Even if you were just talking about the chat, walking down the street or something, you could point up-ish, back, like up and forward.
But for you out there, it's probably I want to point down. Also, we love a little back and forth, so pipe up and email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. Man, we are killing it, you guys. This is going so well. We're going to move on now to our next segment.
Which is it?
Are you guys ready?
No.
You stoked? I'm not going to talk to you anymore. No, are you ready?
I've never been more ready for anything in my entire life. I'm prepared. I studied. What would you like to talk about?
All right. What did Brian do this week?
Brian watched a movie called Self-Reliance on Hulu.
Shit, he really did stuff.
It was written and directed by Jake. It was written and directed by Jake Johnson, also starring Anna Kendrick and Andy Samberg as himself. The plot is a man who has no prospects in life and kind of sucks is offered $1 million if he can evade people killing him for 30 days.
Oh,
and
wow.
some people can't kill him if he's with someone.
People cannot
They can only
kill him
attack him when
if
he's
he
alone,
is
right?
If someone is within striking distance for the safety of other people, he cannot be harmed.
Isn't it like
if he's next to someone.
It's like a wow, dark web TV show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Carry away. How was it? I haven't seen it yet, but I'd like to. Yeah.
Nailed it. That's
Great.
This sounds amazing.
It was amazing.
I'm sorry. Is it a movie or a show?
It was a movie on Hulu, and it, as Noel said, written, directed, and starring Jake Johnson, who I am a big fan of.
Oh.
And so it is about this guy that he's lonely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this very quirky, bizarre type of film. It's a bizarre premise to begin with, but it's also presented, when he interacts first with the people who are making this offer, it's weird. You know what I mean? So then he finds people to spend none of his family believes him. And he finds this guy, I think a homeless man to pay to hang around with him, played by a guy who has done this on, he was on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's a funny man.
Funny man.
Yeah. And I
make it a joke.
He does.
Yeah. Jake Johnson, forgive me, is he the guy from New Girl?
Yes.
And is he also a Spider-Man?
He's Peter B. Parker.
Peter B. Parker.
He's Peter B. Parker.
That's right.
Thank you.
He's also in Minx, which is a great show.
Oh, I haven't seen that
It's
yet.
really good.
I want to see that.
So anyway, this movie is completely something that could take place in this world, but it's presented in a very unusual way. And it's very heartful, right? He has these like meaningful relationships. Stevie Budd, the woman who plays Stevie Budd from Schitt's Creek, is in it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it looks good. I like in the trailer they reveal how he decides to try and game the system.
Well, that's what they say. They're like, he's not going to do it. And then he mentions the part of, he says like, well, what if other people would be hurt? They say they can't if they're near you. And he says, oh, so that's a loophole. I'm like, no, it's in the rules.
It's just a rule.
It's one of the rules. And he's like, a loophole. Andy Samberg has a small but pivotal role as himself, which is awesome. He's the man who picks him up and introduces him to this in a limo.
This sounds great.
It looks wonderful.
I love the premise.
It's really fun, and it's tight. His relationship with Anna Kendrick throughout it.
Anna Kendrick's in it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You buried the lead.
Well, I hadn't set it up until now because I was like, do I want to get into it at all? And I think it's in the trailers. Like, he finds someone who he agrees to spend all day, every day with him for a while.
That's all you had to say was Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
I love
she's
her.
in it.
She's
It's
fantastic.
great.
Funny?
Yes, it is funny. It's not like entirely intended to be funny, but there are funny parts.
Oh, I thought it was a straight up comedy.
It's not just a straight up comedy.
Oh, okay.
It's like I said, it's like
dramedy.
Queer, quirky. Is what I was going for.
It could be queer.
Yeah, it could be
Like
queer.
It could be.
Yeah. The original definition.
The
of
old
word.
terms.
It is. That's true too.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, but and there are funny things. Like there's like the guy that he hires to hang around with him is very funny. Like I laughed a lot during the movie, but it's just like a weird adventure that he is on doing this strange thing, and it's presented in a very like story type way where it's now let me explain that.
Yeah, please.
It's
I had my confused face on.
You did. And I anticipated it. And I was ready to go because every story could be said to be explained in that way. But I mean, the kinds of stories that feel like someone is telling you a story almost. The Royal Tannenbaums was like almost literally presented as that.
Yeah.
But or in a way, the Green Knight, which I don't know if any of you guys saw.
I've never seen the Green Knight.
It's like
You've seen the Green Knight?
Yeah, I talked about it on this show with you.
He
maybe.
saw a
It came
movie
out,
we
like,
didn't see,
2.5
though. No,
years
he
ago at
saw a
this
movie
point.
we didn't see is the point.
He sees a lot of shit we haven't seen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I watch a lot of stuff. You just watch other stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do watch other stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, I love this movie.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, it was
I'm in.
fantastic. It's to the point. It's bizarre, and it's very cool. He's a really cool character too, and yeah, it was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Brian.
What's up?
Did you study as hard as Noel did?
No.
Do you know what Noel's been up to this week? Huh?
No, what's the name of it?
I'm going to talk about a comic book that
It's called Gods
you know what?
by Jonathan Hickman
Yeah.
and
Valerio
Sheedy.
nailed it.
Yes.
Nailed it.
Issue 4 came out today, and I'm upset, like parasocially upset that no one's talking about this on comic book Twitter.
Oh.
It's one of the best series at Marvel that's happening right now. It's basically Jonathan Hickman re-establishing and creating rules for magic and deities and higher beings in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
You would fucking like it.
I
I
feel
like
like
that
you
stuff.
would like John. Are you a Jonathan Hickman fan, Brian?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I figured. All right.
It's Jonathan Hickman has a very I think he's actually pretty fairly. He's fairly associated with inaccessible story plot points
very dense.
and density
Yeah.
and overcomplication. This is like him. This is as like romanticism and swashbuckly as he's been since his run on Fantastic Four. Basically, the premise is there is the powers that be and the natural order of things, magic and science. Each have avatars on the living world on the human plane. The avatar for the powers that be, magic, is a new character named Wynn. He's a grizzled, immortal-looking dude, one avatar. For the natural order of things, for science, it's a whole guild of agents that kind of keep things together. And they have their naturally opposing forces, and they have a treaty with each other. Part of the treaty is that the natural order of the Wynn, let's just call him Wynn, has to have an apprentice that is assigned by the natural or assigned by the natural order of things. Yes.
Natural order? All
Yeah, so it's these two characters having to deal with giant cosmic things, and then there's a love triangle and weird adventures and big cosmic craziness, but it's so fun and accessible, and the art is disgustingly good.
Valerio Schiti is a name that another I think talent that is not being discussed. Valerio Schiti is like top tier Marvel artist.
Yeah, he's up there. Like if we were gonna do like the top 3 to 5 Marvel artists, it's like Pepe Larraz, RB Silva, Valerio Schiti, others.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
like you don't hear those. They're, for some reason, despite their immense,
Marco
Cicchetto was also great.
Ryan Stegman-ish. He's not really exclusive anymore.
Yeah. Segment sort of fell off for me. But anyway, those other cats, like, I'm surprised that nobody discusses them when I'm in a lot of conversations about comic book art in different groups, and like they never come up.
Killing it.
Yeah.
He first caught my eye during Empire.
Turned your head.
Turned my head. Tweaked my
Empire.
butt.
Empire with a Y.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But this book is wonderful. It's on issue 4 now. The first issue, I think a lot of people were janky about it because it's a $10 issue.
But
that'll do it.
But it was 80 pages. It's basically 3 comics, and the whole first issue is a giant. It was like a trade paperback. It's one full, complete story. And then issues 2 through 4 have almost been kind of the sequel of that complete story, just kind of pulling on a couple of threads. It is such a good read.
Yeah.
It is
you should
still
100%
available.
at least read the
Sounds
first
cool.
issue.
It is still available
very
in
cool.
issues. I can't recommend this book enough. It's one of those things that feels complicated or complex, but then also incredibly accessible, and you know what's going on at the same time. Also, there's no fucking infographics.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's known for his infographics.
There's an intro page of characters. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
No, this book is great. I think everyone should give it a shot if you like comics.
Nice. That sounds cool. Wait, this reminds me of a topic. There's often this thing where it's like, well, there's the people of science that do, in this case, the natural order of things. And then there's magic, right? Here's my thing. If magic is real, it is part of it is part of all things, right? Yeah. There's no supernatural, because if something that we think is supernatural is happening, it's natural, you know?
Interesting.
And it's unusual that I think, because there's within us this belief like, well, here's the stuff that we don't know if it's real or not. And it seems to be kind of beyond our understanding. And that's this like tension, but that would just be our understanding.
Yeah. And then we understand it, and then it's natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully.
Right? It's like it happens. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it? Civilization. Some civilizations consider magic to be just technology they don't understand yet.
Yeah.
Arthur C. Clarke said any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Except in the Marvel Universe, magic is magic.
Yeah.
It's magic. But Reed Richards, at one point, I remember him saying like, it's all energy. I can figure this out. And then he didn't really do that, but he could.
But he science, if at most he would make something that would
like
channel
harness
that
the
magic,
magical
not
energy.
necessarily require magic.
Right.
Yeah, I would talk about that. That's kind of fun. JD.
Oh, I want to say hi to Robert Monroe Jr. who's in the chat saying, "What's up, Cult Poppers? Hope you all had a great week." Robert, I did have a great week. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you didn't ask.
I hope
Thank
you did
you
as well.
for hoping.
Hoping it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in text, and you guys never learned that in emails and letters, you're not supposed to like a question, an open-ended question, because they're not responding. So you say, "I hope you're well," not "How you doing?"
Oh,
you don't do that in text.
You just
anyway,
sit there waiting for the Raven to bring back a note that says, "Good."
Fly away.
So you send it to them in an email, and then they respond
by
Raven.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I send my phone via Raven every
The other
time
person.
I send a fucking message.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
You have a lot of phones, though.
Yeah. I have a very robust plan.
You do. It's unlimited phones.
with my provider.
Sure.
Yeah, and by that I mean my drug dealer.
Hey. Hi.
Did you do something this week?
I'll tell you, I did something for the past many weeks.
Really?
I have dipped in. No, I jumped into the deep end of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay.
The Nickelodeon show from 15 years ago.
Okay.
I remember dipping in here and there throughout its runtime. And I loved it at the time, but I just never really got a chance to sit down and get through all of the episodes. I made it a point a couple months ago to, I want to watch Avatar.
Here it is.
I remember that was such a great show. Yeah. And so, and I went through all three. I thought there were 4 seasons.
4 seasons.
There's only 3. I was sad.
Which one?
Yeah, there's 3 books.
Okay.
Each book is a season, and each season's like 20-something episodes. So they're like robust seasons. But
do you know about Legend of Korra?
dude, bro, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If you count that, then you got more content to watch.
So
True.
Who do you think we're talking to?
I actually. Oh, Armoon says, "Hey fellas, what's up? Love the Rebel Moon podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Is it because your name is Armoon and we discussed Armoon?
Wait, has that been what it is all the time? And he was
No,
hatched
Armoon
this
precedes
plan?
Rebel Moon.
No.
Did
I
they
mean,
name it after you?
that's what I'm saying. Is he? Yeah. And this has been. I'm thinking maybe a time traveler situation
Rebellious
where he came
planetoid?
back.
Yeah. Is that Zack Snyder? Armoon, are you Zack Snyder? So
Please stop.
Dylan. I actually watched Legend of Korra a couple years ago and absolutely loved it. That's part of the reason that I went back and rewatched Avatar, is because I love Korra so much that I was like, you know what? Let me go back and revisit. So I did all the way through every single episode. And this show, have you watched Avatar?
Haven't seen it.
Is it something that you're aware of it?
I'm aware of it.
Is it something that doesn't interest you for a reason?
I never really watched it. The story sounds really cool. I have not watched much anime at all.
It's not an anime.
I know, but I heard also that this isn't necessarily what stopped me from watching it. I think I just didn't happen to watch it when it first came out, and then was under the impression that it was kind of anime-ish.
It's anime-ish,
Okay.
but not. It's American.
I was gonna say like thread and needle. What's anime and what's not?
Do they
Is it
do the
just
thing
where it's produced
with the emotions where they?
And I would also say some vibes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The
speed lines and shit? Are you talking
speed
about
lines. I'm cool with speed lines. The extreme emotion reactions to things.
Yes.
I am often like, I don't know.
right.
Yeah.
You dropped the chocolate bar. Relax. Like, yeah,
Exactly.
I understand. Yeah.
He's not your greatest enemy.
Yeah. It has elements of that only
Yeah.
for humor's sake.
Isn't that what it's always for?
No.
No.
No, sometimes it's for like serious action stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah. Anyway,
Player things. Yeah.
I highly
okay.
recommend you check out Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's a lot of philosophy in it. There's
I love that.
The world building is
I like that
just
too.
insane to me. And there were so many times that I would sit there and watch it and something would be happening on screen and I would remember this is a Nickelodeon show. This was like a children's show. But it is 100% like accessible to adults. And it was just an absolute pleasure. If you guys and gals out there haven't watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, they are working on a live action movie
show?
It's a movie show. We're going to the pictures.
Right. It's a series, isn't it?
Maybe. I was under the impression it was a movie. But if it's a show, it's even better.
It's a series. Yeah.
Avatar was good in so many ways, says Armoon. I was fascinated by all the art, especially the hand-painted background art. They said it took about 11 months per episode. Best family entertainment.
How is that possible?
Oh, it's Robert Moon. Sorry, Robert.
Wait, what?
So,
Got it.
what was so they're about to release on, is it Netflix?
8-episode television series.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
That makes you even happier. Because M. Night Shyamalan had done a live action movie about 10 years ago, which is pretty universally maligned. We all hate it.
We all do?
We all do.
I did.
You hate it
That was that feeling
without
that
even
I
having
had.
seen. Yeah, you're like, ooh, mad.
I've tried watching it a couple times.
Yeah.
As far as I got it, it was
so-
self-serious dribble.
It's
I
awful.
didn't care.
And like they even got the pronunciations wrong of characters from a show that has pronunciation of characters for you.
Well, yeah, they say them.
So like Aang is the name of the character,
Yeah.
but in this movie they're like Ong. Like, what are you doing?
They
Anyway,
probably filmed a couple of scenes and then they're like, we can't
I
go back.
can't change it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, it's fantastic. I finished all 3 seasons yesterday and I felt, you enjoy something so much and then it's over and you're kind of like, oh, bummer.
Yes.
The creators of Avatar actually kept the show going via comic book series.
That's right.
So even though it's ended, I'm about to start reading the graphic novels that are by Faith Aaron Hicks and Guri Hiru.
The creators of the show.
No,
The writers of the show.
neither of
Nothing?
Nothing.
I thought they were
It's by. It's approved by the creators
Oh, I
of
thought it
the
was
show.
by them. Well, it still sounds cool.
I think outlined.
Outlined and then written by Faith Erin Hicks.
So they came up with the story.
Yeah.
All right.
And like, here's where we want to go.
All right.
So the same thing that, Joss Whedon did with Buffy and Firefly.
Angel.
And stuff like that. Angel.
Yeah.
And
Who also had the powers that be. That was their thing. Yeah.
Did you like Avatar better or Korra better?
It's hard to say. So it's funny. Avatar kind of came out when I was a youngin, and so like you said, it's aimed towards kids. So I would watch it here and there.
was like 35. Sorry.
What?
I was like 35, I think.
Yeah, I was a grown man.
If it was 15 years ago, then I was 10.
Okay.
You're 25.
But so I was into it. I was into it, and then I revisited it when it was on Netflix, and I fell back in love with it. And then I wasn't even hip to Korra.
Yeah,
I didn't know it existed.
You weren't hip to it.
I wasn't, and then I was, and I'm like,
and now you are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really like. I really like how much they expand on things in Korra, and I like the whole season where they go into the spirit realm.
Spirit realm stuff is great. Very very Miyazaki.
Right.
Studio
And that's like my favorite
Very
stuff
cool.
with like animation. So
Yeah, man. Awesome.
Yeah, you're making me want to go rewatch it. So
Dude, do it. It's so good. And the trailers for the upcoming live action series also look awesome. And they are, because it's a series, not a movie. And looks like they're going back and doing the Team Avatar in their like 20s. They're doing another animated
one.
Another animated
like a little in between
project of like,
right, because in Korra, Aang is dead.
Yeah, because Korra takes
slaughtered him
place
in the first episode,
100.
right?
Yeah, she just kills him.
Yeah.
First scene.
Yeah, it's 13 years old.
It takes place 100 years after the events of The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've gone on long enough. I just highly recommend it. It's such a blast. I'm excited to read the comic books, and I'm excited for all the new TV shows that are coming. And they're about to do another sequel, which takes place 100 years after Korra. What? Yeah.
It's like every 100 years.
It is. So anyway,
For 3 times.
That's what we've been up to this week. Avatar: The Last Airbender. You can check it out streaming on Paramount Plus. Gods by Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti is a wonderful comic book series you should get at your local comic shop. And then Brian says Self-Reliance on Hulu. You should check it out.
Yeah. Tamara said, "Oh, I'll see you later." And I said, "Oh, we're going to talk about Self-Reliance on the show tonight."
Yeah.
She was like, "What?" I was like, "Not the concept, but the movie that we watched."
Nice.
Yeah.
Are we ready for our main topic?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Remember when I wasn't ready before you asked me?
I was a little disappointed.
I spent most of that time getting ready for this.
Preparing.
Now. Yeah.
I will do as much as I can to be a mediocre white man talking about comic book related things.
Oh, that's right. So
What is this?
we didn't get any emails, but we did get a couple comments on our TikTok.
What were they?
If you look up CultPop on TikTok. The first guy, this was a short, by the way, created for us by Young Chunk Studios.
Young Chunk.
Dylan goes hard to work after our live streams.
He works hard.
He'll make shorts for TikTok and YouTube shorts and all that stuff. So for our last episode where we talked about Echo, we had a short about Echo, and it was you talking about you were fine with it.
I wasn't too into it. Yeah.
Jordan says the first guy sounds like Howard Stern. That's you.
Me.
Yeah.
Can I, before we get even deeper into this, I did look it up really quick because I want to make sure we have accurate information about Avatar: The Last Airbender and all its related properties.
Thank you.
So, live action television show, 8 episodes.
Here we go.
There is a animated movie that is the characters from the original television show older.
That's awesome.
And then a new animated, and it's just a movie. And then a new animated series that's 100 years after Korra, which is due to come out in 2025.
That sounds cool.
I've been told that they've created a whole Avatar
Bible
studio.
Oh, nice.
Just to pump out Avatar stuff, which is interesting to me because watching Korra, Dylan, I heard a lot of tales about how there was no budget for the end of Korra. They just like ran out of money, and that's why like the third to last episode is a recap episode using old animation from the rest of the series. So weird. So I'm glad that I guess maybe it's popular enough and gained enough traction at this point to have more budget.
There's also rumors of a Zuko movie anticipated to hit theaters in 2026.
Did you ever see Hook?
Yes.
Remember Rufio?
Loved it. Rufio.
Rufio is the voice of Zuko.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and then we had another, let's see, Walker GL42 says, why is every comic book podcast now just multiple mediocre middle-aged white guys?
I don't know. I'm not sure that's true because we have a comic book podcast. Right? And we don't fit that.
We're not
Mediocre?
Are we like mid?
I feel
Does it
like
say average too?
It just says multiple mediocre.
Multiple media. We are multiple.
Yeah. We're middle aged.
You know what? Also, too,
Depends on how long I live. Right?
Yeah, you could be dead tomorrow. You're at the end.
300, and then it would be like less than a quarter.
That's true. Gotcha.
I don't think
know.
being mediocre is that big of a burn. Like everyone's pretty much mediocre.
Yeah.
I don't agree. No.
Except moments of brilliance, but to be at like a level of just constantly crushing it, that's just irrational.
Yep.
I think there's room between mediocre and constantly crushing it, right? Like it's a state of being mediocre, right? And I don't think any of us are that. And I'm
trying to take the power away from their burn.
Oh no, I am doing that.
The space, the comic book space, or just pop culture space. Yes, this is us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're just talking about stuff we want to talk about.
This is reflective of
yeah. Or
it's as though we cooked this up in an algorithm. Sorry.
And someone responded because it's the average comic book reader.
Yeah.
Just mediocre middle-aged white guys.
Which should change. So
well, I see a lot of people who don't fit that description in your shop at 4327 Main Street in Philadelphia.
Oh, yes. You mean Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Actually, I do see a lot of people, a very different demographic from what it was when we were kids or even young adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's great.
I would say almost half of my clientele, my customer base is female or other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah,
keep those comments
check
coming.
out check out our TikTok.
Ones, right?
If that's your thing. What?
And no mediocre ones.
No, not a single mediocre.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Right.
I think mediocrity is underrated.
Is there such a thing? It is. I guess that is a definition of it.
Mediocrity is super underrated. We should all achieve for it or strive for it more. And you know what? I am on social media. I read Twitter threads. I wish half those fuckers were mediocre.
Hey, Carls.
Hey, Carl. How are you?
Oh,
hey.
Done? Okay. All right. Carls, you're just in time for us to get to our main topic, which is Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1 from the DC Animated Universe, directed by Jeff Wamister? Sure. Starring Matt Bomer, not Boner, okay, or Bormer.
Who's the only person with a credit?
Jensen Ackles and Darren Criss.
Yeah, watching like the opening credits. Matt Bomer.
I didn't notice that. Do all the other ones come later?
Wow.
Like at the end?
No actor gets a credit at the beginning of the movie other than Matt Bomer, and then like it's all like
who's Matt? Is he the Flash?
He was in he was in Doom Patrol. He's one of the guys in Doom Patrol. Awesome. And
who is he in Doom Patrol?
He's Mr. Negative.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
So, the Anti-Monitor, the Monitor's evil counterpart, is released in the DC Multiverse and begins to destroy the different Earths that compose it. The Monitor attempts to recruit heroes from across the multiverse, but is murdered.
None of that happens in this movie.
No.
Spoilers.
I would rather not know that it's about to happen.
But that's the official
That's weird.
description.
Yeah.
Well, one out of 3 of those things happens.
Also,
but
maybe it happens in the other 2 fucking movies.
I assume it does. And I didn't even read that beforehand. So.
Yeah.
Nothing mediocre here, bitches, says Carl.
Thank you.
We are going to discuss this movie without spoilers. We're going to give our thoughts, right? Our general thoughts, and then we will let you know.
I want to go last.
And then we'll let you know when it's spoiler time.
And we'll let you know.
Brian.
Yeah.
Noel and I had a conversation earlier.
Without me?
And we were talking about Brian.
Well, we had to be away from you so we could discuss you.
Yeah.
You can do it in front of me.
And we had opinions about what you would think of this movie. What did you think of this movie? Start us off.
It.
You
I loved
lover.
It. Loved it. It was really, really good. I thought it was great. Since this has really not even potential for spoilers, speaking of the opening credits, they were awesome.
The credits were interesting.
Really enjoyed that. And
they were sort of like impressionistic mosaics of the different heroes, but they were also being kind of swiped
With
away
like
in
a
the
little
reverse
modernist,
of the Matrix.
Yeah, like there was a little tech kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, we assumed that. So you're in the bag for these movies just as a baseline. It has to really be really. Actually, have you disliked any of them?
No. Yes. There were the most I've gone is disliking a lot of. I think the last one that we talked about here,
which was
I'm sitting over
with
there.
all the mini
War World.
Oh,
mini
I
episodes.
gleefully skipped it.
Yeah.
So
That's fine. You're fine.
And that was the worst
called
one.
me cackling. Just to let me know he wasn't watching it.
Yeah, I don't even want to watch you guys' discussion of it.
Skipping through the park.
Yeah. Doing cartwheels and shit.
So you were
talking.
Yeah. So you're generally in the bag for animated
Generally.
DC.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's your sweet
and
spot.
this was no exception. But I'd say it did far exceed my expectations.
Awesome.
For it, right? I was like, this was really cool. And the fact that none of that stuff happens, that it's not, yes, it is part 1 of 3. It probably could also have been just like a prequel movie with a different name. That did not concern me at all. Like most of the way through, I was like, oh, this is the kind of story we're getting. This is cool.
Okay.
And all these other guys are here too, even though they're not doing much. It's still really
they're
cool.
standing around.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
In a big room. I love that.
I love people hanging out in big rooms.
I am not kidding. I love that kind of scene in a big
you get the
superhero.
Big fan of a fucking wide shot and see what's up.
Get to see all the little who they include.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's that guy? That guy's here. She's there. He's here and she's there and everybody.
The one person shows up with an A on their chest. Who is that?
Amazing.
Mr. Amazing.
Mr. Amazing.
He can transmute himself, I believe.
Amazingly.
It is amazing. He does it in an amazing way.
Yeah, amazingly. It's a perfect suffix to use. I don't know.
It absolutely,
absolutely
is. And I think he may or may not have been a Golden Age character,
I think he was.
But he was definitely, at least in the modern age, it said that there was a previous one, and I don't know if it was his grandfather or something.
JD,
hey,
what's up?
What were your thoughts of this film?
Well, no.
I'd like to sum it up in a footnote.
Well, no. I guess you could say my thoughts on Christ on Infinite Earths could be summed up in the form
of a limerick.
Okay. Will you?
That would be best to be summing it up, but I'm not going to do that.
Tell me what your thoughts were.
I'm mediocre, so I'm not going to do the cool thing.
Tell me your thoughts.
We'll
do it.
Out over here.
When I was awake during this film,
It's more of a haiku.
When I was awake. During.
Yeah, do it in beat poetry.
when I was awake, I was bored.
Okay.
And then when I was asleep, I was happy.
This really sounds like
real abstract.
a short story or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, I only speak in T-shirts.
You do.
So do you remember most of it? Did you
I
rewind?
remember most of it. So certain things. Well, how do I not spoil it?
Well, I mean, you could save it if you want.
It was long,
Uh-huh.
Hour and a half, yeah.
boring. I fell asleep and then woke up and saw how much was still left because I thought I was watching the end of the film.
Yeah,
And then I was like, oh, there's like almost half still.
Oh, there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's so much more movie, and my heart sank.
So
I also found the animation to be comically amateurish.
it's Venture Brothers.
It's on my notes.
Oh, yeah, it's for sure.
It is
Yeah.
Venture Brothers without the charm.
That's true.
Wait, did you feel this way about the other ones in this universe?
I have felt that way about, apparently it's called the Tomorrowverse.
They call it that.
Sure. I
Because
don't
that
know
was
why.
the name of the first movie was Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Tomorrowverse.
They just need to call it something.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So Tomorrowverse.
Yeah.
I have not liked the animation style and the character design style of any of these movies.
So there was
since
no
the reboot.
likelihood that this was going to be the movie that you were like, oh, the style's really getting to me now.
Right,
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I was not in the bag for this. I was in the bag to hate it. I found like most of the movies in this Tomorrowverse to be of the same ilk, sort of plateauing, boring. I fall asleep in the middle. I wake up. There's a couple of good bits, and then I just kind of go, "Oh, this is the state of things." All right. So this movie was not for me. I can't believe there's 2 more of these that we're probably going to have to sit through. I love that you loved it.
Have to sit through them, but they will exist, and you'll be here. Maybe
If he's gonna make me watch Rebel Moon Part 18,
then you have to watch this.
He's
too.
gonna watch all these fucking movies.
At a certain point, I was going, can I stop watching this movie and still talk about it and feel okay.
Nope.
No, I got to finish it. That's how I felt. How about you, Noel?
Well, JD, so the movie doesn't actually start until 52 minutes in. I looked it up. Like I went back and looked it up.
The movie doesn't start?
It doesn't.
What about all that stuff?
The main
What about all that movie?
the actual driving plot doesn't happen until 52 minutes in because you have an entire separate hour
Barry
of
Allen
a
going through
mazo.
time.
Yeah. And then Barry Allen slipping.
Yeah.
That, while was interesting, felt very rote and boring because like it's called Crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm just waiting for the movie to start, and it's like a side adventure. It seemed like a side quest the whole time.
It felt like it was in episodes.
Yes, they finally get to the inciting incident of him witnessing the antimatter wall, and blah blah blah. And now we're talking the monitor, and then that whole back half, I thought was fucking awesome.
Nice.
Oh, great.
But I don't know if it was worth to get there. The whole first 50 minutes of this movie could have been 15 minutes, and then we just tell the rest of the story. It was a lot of filler that I didn't super enjoy. And there was a bunch of other things too that I was just like, what? Why? Like we have two Supermans. Cool.
Yes.
And in dialogue, one is clearly older.
Way older. Yeah.
Why didn't they make him look older?
With the glow gray at the temples.
Or
right?
Hey,
anything.
they gave him a little bit of
He had-
baggage.
he
on his
had-
guys.
I mean, he's
he looked
Superman.
like he didn't sleep for a day. Not like I
Superman.
literally when they were both sitting
Yeah,
next
yeah.
to each other, I didn't know who the fuck was talking.
Although, did the Wonder Woman of his world look older?
No, she doesn't.
Because
age.
she is way old too, and
Ah.
I assume that Superman
And
ages more slowly.
I vaguely remember the World War II movie, the Justice Society movie, which was flashback in time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that where the Nazi line comes from?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I barely remember that. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about it. Like there was a couple of things in this movie that I really, really appreciated and thought was really cool, but I was almost, what's the word when you're mad? Mad. No.
That's the word.
I was mildly resentful that I had to like the beginning was so long.
Yeah. I was so checked out that even if the last half was awesome, I didn't even notice because it didn't
Even
do
if it was-
anything to like drag me back in.
40 minutes of a Mazo and
right, that's-
the Ivo. So that's cool on its own, but
Yeah.
I turned on Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that didn't feel at all related. Now,
Like a Flash prequel to Crisis on Infinite.
yeah, and I'm like,
Yes.
Yeah.
make a Flash movie that leads into
Yes.
this. Don't
That's
like
why
I
not.
I turned it on expecting. It's not even about expectations. It's about like economy of story. I turned it on wanting to get to the story that I turned on, and it took an hour to get there, and I was just a little annoyed by it, even though there's nothing really wrong. Yeah, but I have specific things I want to talk about in
Same.
spoilers.
Same.
So
Well, Brian loved it. I say catch up on your sleep instead. And Noel
I'm in the middle.
in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would literally probably speed around the first half of the movie.
All right, we're going to get into spoilers starting right now. So beware.
JD, hang on a second.
Hey, okay.
Crisis on Infinite Earths
Yeah.
robbed JD of most of his mirths.
Oh no,
He's
he's got it.
Start over again.
Right. Crisis on Infinite Earths robbed JD of most of his mirths. He gave it a peep, but started to sleep. Of enjoyment, multiple dearths.
Cool.
Holy shit.
That's pretty
Thank
good. I like it.
Holy shit.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
God damn it.
All right, you're gonna do this every week.
Every week.
The weekly limerick.
We're stealing that from Slash Filmcast.
That's from Slash Filmcast.
Yeah.
Jeff Kanata. He actually has,
okay.
he makes side money now because it's been such an ongoing gag on the Slash Filmcast, or I'm sorry, the Filmcast now, that he does cameos where he will write you a limerick that you can,
That's wonderful.
So I actually had him write a
I
limerick
remember it, but I did
for
not remember it was in
Noel's
limerick
birthday,
form.
yeah.
for Noel's wedding.
So what should I do? Couplets?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I've got 3 likes and 3 dislikes. It was difficult for me to pare it down to 3 dislikes. Oh, never mind. I lied. 4. Got 4 of each.
It was very difficult.
So starting with the runtime, I agree that the movie is a whole movie before we get to the movie we sat down to watch.
Yeah.
And I was flabbergasted that we were going to spend time putting together the Justice League in the last story of the universe. It just felt like this was something they should have done in the beginning, and then of the Tomorrowverse.
Right.
Had they not?
He talked about it
weird.
in the last time he and Superman met.
Also-
He's like, I want to start this. And they reference that in this movie where he's like, Barry's been trying to do this for a while. A lot of the timing has been unusual in this whole universe. Like Hal Jordan is already gone, and that was their first story with Green Lanterns. Lobo shows up in the first movie, but that's just normal change-up stuff.
Yeah. So I thought that was like, why are
unusual.
we putting together a Justice League just to do a crisis?
Well,
like,
who knows what? I mean, it's certainly. I hadn't really thought about it, but it's an unusual take where. Well, we're in spoilers now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, there's a whole.
Yeah, that's right. And so Barry is traveling through time. This whole thing, he's jumping through multiple moments in his own life, and
cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, and so I like the idea of having origin stories take place with this ending story.
Yeah.
If it ends it, it might not.
Yeah.
It might just be a big story. What'd you say?
I said I'm
on the Wikipedia.
I'm ready for the next iteration of the DC animated universe.
I'm on the Wikipedia page for the Tomorrowverse. It's 7 films total, but one of them had 2 parts, and this one's got 3 parts.
What was the 2-parter?
Long Halloween, which I never watched.
I never
haven't
watched
seen that one actually.
Yeah.
That's the only one I haven't seen.
Man of Tomorrow, Justice Society World War II, Batman Long Halloween 1 and 2, Green Lantern Beware My Power, Legion of Superheroes, War World, and this. It's, I mean, 7 movies, and then it's Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's a little.
It's quick.
It's
quick. Unusual to do
now,
it so quickly.
I have a theory. What
is it?
I have a theory. Pariah is John Constantine from Apocalypse War.
Oh, that's not a theory. I mean, isn't that it?
I mean,
is that a theory? I just thought that
so?
was like exactly what was happening.
Oh, I think it's Barry Allen.
No, brother. No, that's Matt Ryan.
John Constantine.
That's
is
Matt
Matt
Ryan playing John Constantine.
Oh, that's
and there's even a scene in here where he confronts Barry
and
he says, "This is my fault.
Right.
It's also your fault."
Because he went back. Oh, I love that.
He's the one that told Barry in Flashpoint to like end it. Just end
everything sucks. Just reboot.
Redo it.
Yeah,
and because he did that, he is
in the beginning of that one too.
Yeah, and his penance. That is the most creative thing in this entire movie.
Yeah, that's really cool.
To make it like the previous set of movies is what incites this character's journey. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's genuinely cool.
I like when Constantine shows up, so I was already like, hey, look, it's Constantine from, and I just know Matt Ryan's voice.
At first, they tried to mask it a little bit, and he didn't have much of an accent, but then by the end of the movie, he's like, run. All right, cool. Yeah.
So it's
you're John Constantine.
It's interesting then to do it as, so it seems like Crisis should have more build up.
Yeah.
But if you just want to tell a Crisis story with Infinite Earths, right? It doesn't have to be one that you've known for a long time.
No, I'm not saying that this should have been an exact redux of the first Crisis comic book.
No, I mean just the feel of it being something that happens after a while.
Yeah.
Right? Like it can just be early on, and it's like there's been a lot about this retelling. I mean, I think they had a really long running series where they were pretty faithful to the way the comics were ish at the time, and this has been different, and I think it's just interesting to do Crisis at this point.
On top, I mean, I'll double down on that. I don't think you need any kind of fucking build up.
Yeah, why would you?
These
right?
are all just like IPs that are very recognizable, and then you throw in crazy ones that you don't need to build to this,
right? Because that's what Crisis the comic was like this big change after many, many years, and so we think of it as being this like, well, you've known these characters for so long. But it doesn't have to be a culmination, really.
I think especially with these, like we're talking about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash. Like even if you don't know the explicit details of their backstory, you know who the fuck they are, and then you could play with it. I'm a lot of times I'm anti-origin movie, and I think that would apply here. You do not need build up for it, but you do need to kind of get to it. And this movie, I don't think did. And knowing that it's 3-part movie,
right.
there's absolutely no reason why we needed an hour-long pre-story.
See, that's the thing.
That's just padding, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said in the beginning, I too was like, what's happening? What's going on here? Why is this not? But I was into it. I was like, well, you know what? I think one of the two of you guys said last week, we were talking about what to do, and you said some people really didn't like it. Some people said it's the best Flash story told. So I had that in my mind.
This movie.
Yes.
Yeah, low key, this is the best Flash animated movie, but I didn't turn on a Flash animated movie.
No, I know, but I knew it before watching it. So I was kind of like, oh, this is what they were talking about. I also loved the thing that happens at the end. That you may or may not have seen.
I absolutely adore the conclusion.
Yeah.
Where he's slipping forward and backward in time, and you find out that it's them stuck in time.
Yeah.
And they save it. Like that
speaking
was
of
fucking phenomenal. That is an incredibly original, wonderful kind of ending.
Very cool. I wonder
absolutely
where they're going to go with this and with this character. But speaking of Barry Allen slipping through time, I think that's another reason why I felt like the JLA thing makes sense and the other times in his life make sense, seeing them, because just knowing what happened during the first crisis on Infinite Earths. You remember he went back through time when he ran so fast that he, as we later learned, joined the Speed Force, but deteriorated, right? Yeah. So that's, as soon as he started doing that, like 2 or 3 times in, I'm like, oh, that's what's happening. I hope that doesn't happen at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't, but something else happened that I wonder, can they go back? You know, he's aged very considerably.
Well, and they do a whole thing with like the Speed Force isn't done with you. How did this actually end?
He's gonna like,
I already forgot.
The way I think that they said
I watched it 2 hours ago.
It was something like he's got the Speed Force will let you go and do a couple more things before you've got. I think the Spectre who might be Hal Jordan because he's got the mask on.
The Spectre said something to the effect of like you the Speed Force isn't completely done with you yet, and give you some niceties or something like that. So like it just implied like you're gonna get to say goodbye to your loved ones. But then they drop him at a prehistoric lake where he's looking at Warlord holding.
So he
a kid on a chain.
Traveling back through time. That is in the War World movie.
Yeah.
That's Bruce Wayne in that. So yeah.
Okay.
You would only know it if you saw the previous movie.
Yeah.
But
and then also remembered that.
I didn't really remember
Which I didn't.
I didn't really remember it, but I was just like, oh, he's at a previous time. Why they chose that? I think they wanted to do that, and Warworld was the next movie coming out, right? They could have had it at another time in the movie where it was to somebody who's in costume and it doesn't matter what's going on.
It's so weird to have, which seems as though it's Barry Allen's goodbye, because he doesn't just disappear again. He literally like fucking dust clouds with light to be Warlord and prehistoric.
Oh no, I don't think that was
that's the last shot of him.
It's the last shot of him, in this movie.
But even like film language, even the way that he is disappearing in that scene is unlike other ways that he disappeared.
Did we see
and
it?
we juxtapose it with Kara watching the League members disappearing.
Well, that's from the Supergirl film.
Yes,
Supergirl.
But it was a different effect.
Yeah.
I'll pull it up.
Okay, but
it's just done with light. Like it's not that much different.
I don't think that that's the last we've seen of him. I think that he will be in the other movies. No, I think so. And if it is Hal Jordan in that
as the Spectre,
that would be awesome. And I think it's the kind of thing, right? It's like, so you did get to it really quick, and then now you're getting to even this part really quick. And
of course, he could also be a multiversal Hal Jordan.
What happened to Hal Jordan in this universe?
Hal Jordan in the backstory mostly was taken over by Parallax. And
is that what happened in the Beware My Power?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Jon Stewart like reluctantly having the ring, having to go up against Hal Jordan with like
I know I watched it, but I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't he just dies. He doesn't, it's not revealed that it's another, well, it is, but it's just like, well, it's also him kind of. Yeah. So it would be really interesting and a story that you can tell without it being, again, like deep in the universe. It's just, what if the previous Green Lantern was now the Spectre? And it's got a lot of crazy shit going on.
Why would the Spectre have a mask?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
The only reason he had he had it in the comics, well, he did when he was the Spectre, but it was, it was like, that's what he felt comfortable with. And it was kind of, he wore the Green Lantern outfit without the symbol. And yeah.
My likes. Oh, my likes.
Yeah, what do you got?
The scene where all of a sudden lightning is raining down on Earth 3 and Superman is like, oh man, these buildings are getting knocked down. And
Ultraman,
I'm sorry, Ultraman, the evil version of Superman.
Yeah.
On a different world, goes to save a building. And he's there and he's struggling and Superwoman's over there and she's trying to save a building. And Superman, and there's a guy right here at the window who's watching.
And I was like, why is he
saving this building?
He doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit.
Right.
And I'm like, well, look at you go. And he's writing the building. And then it cuts to like you're inside the building with the guy who's being saved with the other thousands of people. And the building writes. And then from his POV, Superman starts getting further and further away, and then they cut out, and you see that Superman has just pushed the building the other way.
Right.
He wasn't saving it.
To avoid hitting their headquarters.
Yeah, he just didn't want that to hit his building, so he just pushed it the other way.
Yeah.
I lost it.
That was awesome. That was a highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
I did think all of that was really funny, too, where it was just like, hey, what's the plan? I'm going to go punch it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really the plan.
And everyone just
I love that.
Yeah.
He does it and just vanishes
right into the wall of nothing.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Introducing the Justice League as the same story as Ending the Universe. Batman's voice I thought was awful.
Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, I liked it. What were some of the side characters? Can we get while you go through stuff?
One of my next likes was the multiversal family meeting. So the big room
you liked it
with
too.
all the characters. I was like, hey, look at all those guys.
Nice.
There it is. You can show.
So we've got
no, it's fine.
Who have we got here? We've got in the foreground Uncle Sam, Star Sapphire, Swamp Thing,
Cat,
Batgirl from
Batwing's back there,
Starman,
Batwing, Ted Knight, Starman,
Hawk and Dove, like a bunch of people.
A lot of folks. But like what I liked was
Blue Devil.
Negative.
The original Blue Devil.
What I really liked about that scene,
the kid becomes Blue Devil also afterwards. Yeah, it's whole thing.
What I liked about that scene though was you've got a Batman from one universe and he's getting approached by a Dick Grayson from another universe, and Batman has no idea who that guy is other than like, oh yeah, you're Flying Graysons, okay.
And we see them earlier. We see him not choosing to take Dick Grayson as his ward,
scoffing at the idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he.
We don't know if he did ultimately, but this Batman.
Yeah. And then Helena, his daughter in another world, who lost her father, who was Batman. And so I really liked using the multiversal aspect to bring characters together and have an emotional beat. I like that a lot. And then, of course, the callback featuring John Constantine I thought was really cool that you mentioned. And then Amazo being a good guy I thought was kind of cool.
I loved his story. Yeah. And the I really liked they do a similar thing in Justice League Unlimited and I loved it there. And
I don't know if I remember that. Where like
really?
Amazo was like trying to help?
Eventually, he takes on all the powers of the Justice League, but Martian Manhunter's staying away because they don't want him to get those abilities. Yeah. Luthor is manipulating him. Martian Manhunter shows up. He's like, no, take my abilities. Read Luthor's mind. And then he's like, oh, this is what it's like.
A jerk.
He scans a star, turns all gold, flies to the star, and then you see him later like learning of the universe and other things with Dr. Fate.
Wow.
Like in later episodes.
That's cool.
It
sounds
really
lame.
Cool. Yeah.
Shut up, dork.
But in this one I loved his
punching people, all this feely shit.
In fact, I think that Justice League Unlimited comic that just came out, he was a major character in the first arc. Yeah. It was really good. Nice. People should pick it up at 4327 Main Street and Johnny DeSarto Zero Comics.
And we can order it for you.
Yeah, you can do that too. You don't have to go there.
No, I mean, like, it's probably not in stock, but we'll order it.
Oh, yeah. If it's, maybe. He'll try.
Yeah.
But he'll get you something else. But anyway, this Amazo, get you something nice. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
I'll take care of you.
Yeah,
it'll be all right.
Hey, when you hear your family.
Exactly. It's Olive Garden here. So
breadstick. It's all breadstick.
Yeah. So this Amazo was great. His philosophical journey. At the end, he has helped Barry Allen. Do you know what happened?
Yeah.
With him aging up and building the tuning fork in like a a couple of seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you.
That I got. Yeah.
So he's doing that, which I thought was a great, because I didn't realize what was happening, obviously, and then it is revealed at the end, and the tuning fork is just boom.
Yep.
Built. Amazing. And Amazo was like, did I fulfill my program? This is what I really wanted, was to help humanity live. And he's like, you really did. And
that was cool.
It was great.
Yeah, I liked his character arc. Yeah.
It was really cool. And I thought the story had a really good emotional journey in the story as a whole. So yeah, I loved it.
Great. I'm glad to hear it. I wish I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But maybe you'll like the next ones. Did you enjoy the multiverse type stuff with the monitor and what have you?
No.
Oh, but you don't like the animation style either, whereas
The
I love it.
animation is rough.
I really like it.
It's like, I think it's like computer generated to look like it's been hand drawn, and it's just the movement is off. There's so many times where things just aren't right, and like there's a scene where Barry is about to get married to Iris, and he's looking at the person who's at the priest or whatever, and his eye it's just there. It's just there's so many inconsistencies with the art style. It's so it's all I was looking at.
Huh.
Yeah.
Like a forest for the trees situation.
You remember when they first started these movies,
Yeah.
and they explicitly wanted them to mimic or at least be evocative of the stories that they're adapting? Like they would change the animation style per movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I would also have probably loved that, but yeah.
You mean you didn't love it?
No, I
When it
mean,
was
if
happening?
this was,
If it was
happening
if they
now.
were still doing it.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I missed that. I missed the there was just weird homogeny when it comes to like these shared universe animated movies where it's like even the animated universe before this, the DCAU, whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
It
was a little bit more anime.
Yeah, and it always looked like there was smearing of Vaseline on every lens.
Well, it's like a house
everything
style
looked blurry,
for
and I was
the-
like,
I don't mind them picking a cohesive animation style for a set of movies.
Yeah.
I just this one
You don't like this one. Right.
I hated it. It
Now,
really
they do
felt
still
like
do
Venture Brothers.
like movies that aren't set in this, right?
Yeah.
They're like they have never stopped doing.
like was Batman: The Long Halloween actually part of this style?
yes, it was part of this universe.
Yeah.
That one was,
I
but
mean-
I
Well, I
feel
know
like
it's
it happened-
counted, but there was
Animation
movies.
was a little different.
There was there were movies in the previous iteration of the DC animated universe that are considered part of it, but were not part of it. Right?
Oh.
Like Dark Knight Returns
Yeah.
had a very
no, I
different
wouldn't
animation
say that.
style, but it's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
considered to be in that era.
Yeah, I think it's in the era, but like All-Star Superman maybe even came out during that time, and Gods and
Very
Monsters.
different. Yeah.
And I don't think those are, like it's in that era, but there's a continuity ongoing.
Impossible not to do. Yeah. Sorry.
All right, let's see. Year one.
stuff.
Okay, so it's from 2007 to 2013.
Mm-hmm.
We got just movies that weren't connected to each other.
Right.
That was Superman Doomsday, New Frontier, Batman Gotham Knight, Wonder
good.
Woman,
Very good stuff.
Green Lantern First Flight,
Yeah.
Superman, Batman Public Enemies.
Huh?
The best top three back to back. Justice League Crisis on Two Earths.
Awesome.
Yep.
Batman Under the Red Hood.
Very
Yup.
cool. Yes.
Love that movie.
Those were those two of the top. The other one is New Frontier.
New Frontier also awesome. Oh, I got.
Then you got
that.
Superman, Batman,
movie.
Apocalypse, All Star Superman,
A great movie.
Green Lantern, Emerald
And
Knights.
ended in a way that I thought was cooler than the comic. And
Yeah.
that Grant Morrison, he said at one point, like, oh, there's something they did that if I thought of it, I would have done it in the comic, which is to have, and I thought this is where he was headed in the comic, to have Luthor turn good once he has seen the world as
Through Superman's
sees it.
eyes, yeah.
Right. He's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, so that was cool.
Batman Year One, which I don't remember.
That was good.
Justice League Doom, Tower
Also
of
good.
Babel story.
Very good.
Superman versus the Elite, and then we get Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, and this is where it kind of stops. Superman Unbound is a standalone movie, and then it starts. Flashpoint Paradox, Justice League War, Son of Batman, Arkham, Assault on Arkham, which actually was pretty fucking cool.
But there were movies
Throne of
during that
Atlantis,
time that
Batman
weren't
v
in.
Robin. Yes.
Yeah.
So those are all whatever. Standalone is Justice League Gods and Monsters,
That was cool.
The Killing Joke,
I didn't see that one.
which wasn't good.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It was much like this, where it's a completely different movie
heard
for
that
a
too.
fucking hour.
Yeah.
And then the
But
adaptation is
instead of
20
being about the
minutes.
Flash, it's about
Batman having sex with Batgirl on the
Yeah.
roof.
Just for an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Standalone is Batman and
That's what she
Harley. Batman and Harley Quinn was not related.
Remember that?
Batman Gotham by Gaslight was not related.
Oh, that was good.
I didn't see that one.
It was
It
really
was pretty
good.
solid.
Yeah.
They changed the end, but it was still pretty solid.
Turns out it's not.
Justice League versus the Fatal Five is not technically in the DC AMU.
That was cool.
That was actually pretty good too.
Yeah.
That was the Legion
Yes.
story.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That was pretty good. Batman Hush is.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman Bloodlines is. Red Sun is not, which I
Yes.
never saw.
I don't either.
I definitely saw it. I don't really remember it, but I think I liked it. There you go.
And then we
Statements.
get the Apocalypse War ends it all in 2020, and then
Oh, it was
since
awesome.
then we've had the Tomorrowverse with a couple of standalones. So the Tomorrowverse movies we talked about earlier, the standalones of during this era, the last 4 years, is Batman: Soul of the Dragon.
Oh,
haven't
right.
seen that. I keep forgetting
right.
about
It was like a 1970s kung fu.
I really wanted to see it.
That
and
was
I
fun.
Keep forgetting.
Injustice,
I didn't see that
the
one either.
Injustice adaptation. I didn't see it.
I did see it. I didn't care for it.
All right.
Catwoman Hunted.
I didn't know that.
I didn't get through it.
Oh, this was a good one. Batman, Superman, Battle of the Super Sons.
I liked
That
it.
was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
thumbs all the way up. And then the Doom That Came to Gotham, which I didn't see.
I didn't see that one either. Yeah. Right on.
Did you see it?
Doom That Came to Gotham. Yes, we were going to review it for this show, but it was a pleasure to watch it anyway. It was,
one was that?
awesome. It was a
It came out in
Victorian horror.
Okay.
Batman, Etrigan
And
is
then-
involved.
yeah.
Man
Warworld and
Bat
Justice
is
League.
there.
Fun.
Things do not turn. You know how sometimes Elseworlds are like, what if he adopted Dick Grayson exactly the same way, but it's Victorian times?
Yeah, yeah.
This is not that.
Oh, okay.
So-
yeah. Other shit happens.
So this ends Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, the three-part movie. It was originally supposed to be 2 parts, but they kept saying 3 parts, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
If you guys.
But there's another animated movie coming this year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Watchmen, or just Watchmen. It's-
Huh.
Warner Brothers announced in April 2017 an R-rated film based on the graphic novel of the same name. The animated adaptation was confirmed last San Diego Comic-Con and scheduled for release this year.
Let me ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you think we need another Watchmen adaptation?
I don't think we needed the first one, but
I never.
Good point.
I liked the first one, but I'll tell you what.
You know about
I
the
like
Zack Snyder.
I liked it too,
But you just
but
right.
it didn't actually add anything.
I pushed back on that.
Push
It
it.
added a better
Push it real
ending
good.
for. Shut up.
It ended a modern ending.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, a less not contrived.
Convoluted.
Convoluted.
Oh, that
A
was
less
the part that I was like,
convoluted,
didn't do it as
I
well.
love the Dr. Manhattan.
But
bit.
See, I think they had a reason then to be where I thought it was a better trick, a more
The movie?
complete trick, the comic.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
So I think it's just more modern sensibilities. So I think both of them work. And I like that they at least changed something for the movie because up until then it was basically shot for shot.
Yeah.
But I think the squid really, really works for Thatcher Reagan era 80s, and the Manhattan works for modern audiences
You
because
also get a lot
it
of
connects the
buildup.
dots all the way through.
You get a buildup in the comic that would be a lot of divergent time in a movie.
Yeah.
Maybe in
yeah.
a miniseries.
There was a
but
lot of divergent time in the graphic
But them
novel.
being like
There's a lot of that graphic novel that I
For-
don't read when I've reread
for a
it.
film adaptation,
Yeah.
them being able to connect the most powerful character with how the conclusion happens is just really economic storytelling.
Yeah.
But I
I love that.
appreciated it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they did that for the movie. Do I think that it is a necessary adaptation? No.
Well, here's my thing about
The TV show, though.
yeah.
I
oh,
do
it was
think
amazing.
TV show was it's so good.
Really
That
good.
show
Yeah.
Yes.
did add something
It was
to
really
the
good.
original text,
Yeah.
and it feels vital. Everything else doesn't feel vital. It just feels like another thing.
I never, to answer your question,
Thank you.
look at it in the terms of does this thing need to exist?
No, I'm sorry.
You know what I mean? But it is a
I
common,
agree with that.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of people who are like, oh, we didn't need this. And I'm
Who's
like,
this for?
Yeah,
Exactly.
nobody asked for this.
Yeah.
I guess
Nobody
what
asked
my
for a
point.
lot of art.
Let me say this.
Say it.
I feel a little bit of Watchmen fatigue between reading the graphic novel, Doomsday
Which
Clock.
you do every day.
They should adapt Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday
Oh, I would
Clock,
love that.
That would be
Watchmen,
cool. Yeah.
before Watchmen, which was like 6 miniseries, the HBO TV show, the movie,
Rorschach.
So the
Rorschach, the
HBO
comic book.
The HBO TV show, it may mildly surprise you to learn was 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah. And you loved it. That won't
I still
surprise
love
you
it.
to learn.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
and you're right. There was a Rorschach comic book. Even that was several years ago, right?
That was like last year.
I think it was 21.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is
But it was 12
coming up on
issues
3
long.
years.
Yeah.
It was 12 issues long.
that's
It
true.
took a whole
Okay.
year to come out.
And of course, that Rorschach comic did not reach the same audiences that
I
these other things might.
So,
But yeah, I think I like Watchmen a lot. I don't think it is the seminal comic that many people used to. It was one of the only serious comics when comics first started to be looked at by a wider audience in a series, or at least taken seriously. But I really like it. But yeah, I don't think there's been too much.
I think a lot of people confuse paradigm shifts for paragons of excellence. It was a paradigm shift. It changed the way comics
the type
are
of
perceived
For
and can go forward.
Decades, yeah.
Does that make it the most amazing thing?
I would say
No. Objectively, no.
it had its
But
own some.
I think
but-
like to defend
Nirvana.
to defend the flippant comment of do we need this? I think it's more aligned with the general kind of annoyance, for lack of a better word, of constantly rehashing the same fucking stories.
Yeah.
We have read what?
But so just as juxtaposition,
Yeah.
you said earlier that you missed the days when they did direct adaptations of previous stories,
Yeah.
and have a couple of times said, these direct adaptations, I want something
It
different.
wasn't the direct adaptation. It was the style of the original artist that
Okay.
they were adapting. I didn't care if
Okay.
they changed the story, but when they
gotcha.
did New Frontier, which was different than the book,
yeah.
they made it
was cool.
aesthetically try and
I
look like
gotcha.
Darwin Cook,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
aesthetically look like.
Yeah.
But
Was it
you're-
Ed McGuinness?
That's super fair. I am
Yeah,
not
yeah.
against adaptations, but we keep doing the same ones over and over again.
Yeah.
And
They
there's
keep
such a
telling the same
huge
origins. They keep telling the same
library.
stories. Yeah, we
Yeah.
read tons and tons of shit,
Yeah.
and I like the normie audience must. I mean, I think it's okay that they think that we're all one note and and one dimensional, because on the outside, all that this culture or this like comic book culture or IP culture pushes through is the same like 3 stories or the same 3 characters
Yeah.
over and over again. So yeah, they of course they think we're basic,
Guaranteed
because
sales
all we do is
for a certain
all we do is
degree.
push
And
forward
that's-
basic
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
So like another adaptation of Watchmen, another
Crisis.
event that's Crisis. Like
Well,
even
I don't
inside
think
of this
I don't think
bubble.
outside they know that like another crisis
but
with
even-
the DC universe.
inside and outside of the
Yeah,
bubble,
yeah.
dude, it's kind of becomes the same thing, and then one thing gets popular, where they just kind of like beat it
Yeah.
into the ground.
And it's also not just this particular comic book bubble. If you look at
Yeah.
mainstream
Anything.
blockbuster films,
Yeah.
we just got a Wonka.
Uh-huh.
And
Apparently, it was very good.
apparently it was
Apparently it
awesome.
was.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
And also it's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is, right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of musicals out right now that the trailers they're like hiding the fact that they're musicals.
They'll bait and
But like
switch.
the fact that everything is either a reboot or a sequel
Now,
in the theaters.
this is sort of an old argument of mine, but in
Make it new again.
here
Dust
it
it
comes
off.
again, which is actually uniquely apropos. In the old days, the stories were retold over and over,
Yeah.
right? Romeo and Juliet is a good example. Was a retelling of an earlier love story, I believe.
I did not know that.
I mean,
there was
even if it's not true, it's probably there's no such thing as new.
Yeah.
Every
Right.
single story is a retelling of some other kind of conflict.
And people
Man
didn't
versus
used to
man,
complain
man versus
about
nature,
it,
man versus
right?
himself.
Man versus Superman.
Yeah,
Batman versus Superman.
But
it could be anything.
But like, okay,
There's a million stories.
those all do still seed from the same concept
Yeah, they
of
do.
man versus
Yeah, yeah,
man
yeah.
as a
Absolutely.
central conflict.
So here's
Being
something
silly.
that had never occurred to me before. I heard that sometimes people who feel anxious or depressed will rewatch shows that they have already seen
Why
because
The Office is on all the time.
exactly
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
because you know what's going to happen. You know the beats that are going to play out. You know everything turns out all right, or you know if it's not. You know all of these things, and it's comforting. And I wonder how much that has to do with
The state
sitting
of
around a
events.
fire and hearing Oh, for sure. But that's happened a lot, unfortunately, in human history. Things haven't been perfect.
Yeah.
I think there's a natural, organic cycle for that kind of things, for those types of stories to become popular and like move through. What I do think also is happening that in the current landscape of 4,000 content channels at the speed of light, the cycle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Faster and faster, yeah.
We used to be able to, we used to be used to, like a 7 to 10 year cycle.
The Disney Vault cycle.
Basically, like when you age out of certain types of content and then look for the next one, somebody that's been there the whole time, it's not new to them, it's new to the next coming through. The cycles are getting smaller and smaller to the point where we're fucking rehashing comic book stories 2 years later, or you're getting a remake of Spider-Man 3 years after the last theatrical remake. Like the cycles are getting smaller to the point where like fatigue is almost setting in. It's almost baked into the cake that it's all still, it's been there, done that, been there, done that, been there, done that. So how do you wow people? You up the ante and up the stakes and up the budget. And it's like, that's not the point.
Well, actually, that's what I was saying, was that it's in the modern era that we are dissatisfied with that.
Yeah.
Right? It used to be like, oh, the story where the guy tries to meet the girl, but then
Tell
it
me that
turns
again.
out, right?
Oh, I love that story.
Like, oh, this is kind of like that one story, but it plays out this way, or Hercules is doing this now, or whatever. And we used to want that, or at least be like, well, that's how it's a story.
Comfort.
Yeah,
I think we still do. It's just,
I think we do too.
Yeah.
But we also, we see a lot more maybe than we used to. I don't know what the presence of stories and throughout human history were, but we see a lot more of it. Maybe that's part of it. But we talk about like, well, why isn't this new? Of course, there's also the pressures of, you know, there's a business involved. Unfortunately, we can't just make stuff because we think it would be cool.
Yeah.
And guaranteed things end up in the long run making more money than, or at least a good safe bet makes more money. That's why we have a lot of Batman movies. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, but that,
and very few Metamorpho movies.
Yeah. I love Batman and I'll watch all of his movies. But
yeah, absolutely.
There is very little need for those movies to be $350 million.
Yeah.
And that is just this weird, I feel like by and large, they're bereft of just the basics of storytelling, and it's really just excess of opulence or stakes versus telling a story. Because you could tell a better Batman story of him just solving a crime.
Yeah, which I think
not
was actually
necessarily having to save the fucking world.
I think that's one thing we all both really liked about the Batman.
Yeah. It was
it was
small
just like
stakes
a
just in
Batman
Gotham,
story.
figuring his shit out.
Yeah.
And it felt more epic than The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of it too. Is
to me,
in the old days, right?
I hate The Dark Knight Rises.
So even more epic than that,
I hate
you would
that movie
say.
so much.
But you didn't really care for the Batman that much, right?
No, I didn't care. I like the Batman better than Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
I mean,
for
that's
sure.
a qualifier.
Okay.
I just mean in general. I know.
But
Did you
I'm
like
not a
it?
huge fan of it.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, but anyway, and that's another thing that we all know Batman, right? And so we're like, well, how are they playing on that theme? Are they doing the stuff that I like about Batman in this movie? And
you know what I think audiences in a way too have become this. We were talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter.
I think a lot of it too is that audiences have become so segmented that they erroneously think there's only one version of a story, right? So like Batman, the concept and the IP is malleable to have like 5 or 6 different iterations. There is Adam West Batman. There is like Michael Keaton, like all of these different versions of the character. The IP is strong enough to actually handle all of it, but it's fans that think one is right and one is wrong, and you're stupid if you don't agree with them. The more we know, the more myopic we get as like a viewer culture.
Well, we didn't used to have stuff written down either, right? And they probably would talk about the stories of King Arthur, and it was like,
and
I
those
heard
stories,
this one from this guy, and you know,
those characters, are malleable because the core story was strong enough,
and they still tell it now. Mage, the hero defined.
There wasn't like a group of people at the campfire being like, no, that's not how you told it before,
fake nerd.
Yeah,
or I wonder if
like you're not a real orator.
Yeah,
like
get out of here, Radicles.
Yeah.
It was still going on in
That's
Greek
what I mean.
times.
Like the strength of the story is what pulled through, and then every other variation of it
knows?
survived fine.
Maybe not, right? Maybe there were people sitting around and he's like, this guy, like, you're getting it wrong.
Yeah.
Hercules didn't do that, you know, like
probably,
Robin Hood wasn't.
And they probably told him, go tell your story. Go tell the story how you like it. That other campfire. Yeah.
But before things got written down, right, things were a lot more changeable.
Yeah.
Language has become much more codified, spelling, all that stuff. Stories have become more codified. You know, and I was thinking about,
Let's erase it all.
was it around everything? It's a Fight Club.
Yeah.
What we need is a crisis.
Let's go like Escape from LA at the end and just like turn it all off.
Yeah. Then there was Escape from New York. But postmodernism, right, where people started looking at the thing that we were doing and this removal, this outside abstracted awareness of what was happening in entertainment or in art. I wonder if it was that kind of thing that started us looking as a society at like, oh, what is the thing that we're doing? This is something very new. What's the next new thing? What's the even more interesting way to look at it? Or seeing the form itself, we're no longer just talking about the content of the story like we had been. We're talking about the way the story is told, and I've seen this one already.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I am a firm believer in story is just like details. And what really matters is what actually makes the details work is the any kind of affinity you have for the characters that are experiencing that series of details.
Right.
So those that are
An emotional connection.
basically.
Yeah.
So like when it was all broken down to me like 30 years ago that there's no such thing as original story, stop trying to find original, just be true. And then, you know, breaking it down to like, there's 3 types of stories. And like, no, there's not. What about this version? Like, that's
7
actually
at
just
least.
this.
Yeah.
Break it down even more. That's just this. That itself was freeing. Like, why are you shooting for originality? Just shoot for honesty.
I'm
just
doing this
tell
kind
a
of one.
story. Just
This is a story that I'm telling.
boy meets girl. Great.
Yeah.
Tell it for like, tell it holistically.
And they're all-
and it will be, so like,
They're all original. They're all their own thing.
the bitching about seen it before is I don't think that is a valid criticism. But if it is a carbon copy without heart, it's a wildly valid criticism that it doesn't need to exist.
I kind of felt that way about Zack Snyder's Watchmen, is that it was almost a
really?
carbon copy without heart.
I mean, that's what
Copy, not carpy.
is.
It's not a carbon.
Have you ever revisited Sin City, the movie?
I
don't
loved
know
it at the time, but I had
at the
not
time
seen
I loved
again.
it.
No.
Yeah.
The other night I was
Yeah.
like, so I watched a couple trailers and I don't want to rewatch it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not only have I kind of soured on those older Frank Miller stories anyway, because they hit differently when you're older. I don't want to see that movie that rough.
Yeah.
Like it just looks rough.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the time, remember, it was like, like a comic.
Yeah.
Now the
And we're
Spirit,
seeing it
I watch every week.
every
off.
week.
Shut up. I've never watched Sin City 2 or The Spirit.
Neither have I. And I would watch The Spirit, even though I heard it wasn't.
Couldn't
I
bring
thought
myself to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So anyway, yeah.
So Watchmen. Watchmen's the new animated
I'm interested
series.
in that. Now, I have a
Animated
question for you guys. Would you vouchsafe me this? The next 2 Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Would you go into it thinking of this as a prequel in that mind space, right?
Yeah.
And then so you'll just see the next 2, not let this one and the fact that it's called Part 1 color your view, because it really was kind of prequel-ish, you know?
I can't promise that.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know.
I will probably like not consider the first hour of this movie mattering.
Okay.
But the end does. The end really does.
It absolutely does.
So again, this movie left me on a better note than it started with me. So I have no problem walking into the next one with good faith. Yeah.
Like there was some prequel stuff.
Absolutely good faith.
And then now we're into Crisis. Even the second half of this movie. I don't care where you break it up. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. And who knows? Maybe all this multiversal stuff. Have been more people standing around, maybe flying. That'll be cool. Oh, I really did like that. They were like, "Hey, we've got these 8. There's a reason we gathered all of you. We have these really smart people, and these people who have the powers and capabilities to pull off whatever they figure out.
So they didn't mention the Anti-Monitor at all.
Right.
No, it's just something
the Monitor.
They hinted that something is directing, which may be how Crisis started in the comics. I do not remember.
I don't remember that shit.
But yeah, it's just happening, and they think it is a natural occurrence. And then the Monitor is like, something is seeking us out as we try to stop it. Yeah. And it was awesome that Barry has been traveling around in the universes just on his own, too.
Yeah, that was cool. I do love me some Flash.
You do.
We are a mixed bag.
Yeah. I really liked the
Love,
kind of
hate.
almost relaxed, serene nature of this story. And I think it's something that didn't turn you guys on, that the travels back in time. There was a serenity to it for me. And I think part of that was that it was in the past, and it was, this thing that was...
I got a little tired of how they visually depicted it.
Him running from one to the next, you mean?
Yeah.
You could come up with a shorthand, man.
Just like
yeah.
Because it was the gold iris, and then it was.
You know what I mean? There was a peacefulness to these journeys and a silence.
The artful kind of like visualization, but it also like to your point, it got a little ruined with him just like.
I can see that too. Like if you weren't digging it, then it's like, why is this still? Why did they show it every time?
Yeah.
But
here we go.
The whole first half could have been 15 minutes.
Yeah. We could have jumped into this movie with a Justice League already created. There was no reason to show us putting them together.
Oh, I see. I like when they show up at Wayne Manor and they're like, we gotta
him jumping
cutesy stuff.
Him jumping back and forth in time and fighting Amazo is the Unlimited series was able to do that in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It could have been 20 minutes and then tell me more of the actual story that I signed up for.
It's true.
That's my biggest problem.
The misleading nature of it. Yeah. I agree. Had this been called prequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths.
No, I would have hated that even more.
Or prequel to something.
But the thing is, so you can't completely disregard the whole first hour because there are plot points that matter to the back.
And I have a feeling they will matter.
It does not have to be as front-loaded as it was.
I have a feeling that those things will matter also in the upcoming 2 movies.
But maybe not because we completely ended Amazo's arc.
Oh no, not the Amazo stuff. Sorry, the Flash.
But that was the Flash stuff again. 5 minutes.
You think
5 minutes? It could have been 5 minutes.
Oh, it could have been 5
of articulating that he is slipping through time, and then Iris, her wonderful aside of like, "Are you slipping now again?"
Yeah.
I just wanted you here.
Yeah.
Literally, those are the only like 5 minutes that mattered.
And then when he leaves, right, she just continues experiencing him.
Well, I guess he just
with whoever after that.
I guess he just comes back right away from her perspective.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If he's like any time that I'm just like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I actually just went back in time. Yeah.
Well, I never.
But anyway.
But yeah, I think there maybe was a way to break it up in such a way that if you had the Flash stuff or whatever, I was super into that story. So I was like, this is cool. Not at all the Crisis on Infinite Earth that I thought was coming. And I don't know how it could be tweaked for you guys.
I mean, I got to the end of the Amazo fight after the Justice League had been put together. I got to the end of the Amazo fight and I went, oh, weird. We're wrapping it up and like we haven't even gotten to any Crisis stuff. I guess that's why there was like this is part 1. And then I was like, I jiggled the thing to see how much time was left on, and I was like, we're only halfway through this movie. Yeah.
It really ramps up.
Oh, goddamn. Well,
anyway, we'll talk about the next 2 in detail. Similar detail, perhaps.
Probably only needed to be 2 movies.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Maybe. But we don't know what the next 2 are yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They could completely wrap everything up in the next movie, and then we've got a whole third movie of
where they're just talking about
completely unrelated.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that Crisis?
Like, Crisis. That was on, how many Earths was that?
Only I remember it. Hey.
That's Infinite Earths.
All right.
I will check the fuck out.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us. Don't forget, Wednesday mornings, you can check out Fresh Floppies, which is when me and Noel get together and we talk about the new comic book day releases on the day of release. Wednesday mornings, and spoiler free, etc. Blah, blah, blah. We'll see you here next week when we talk about, some other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk at you later.